free speech, hate speech, are they one and the same? Can you even have one without the other? Is there a point where one becomes the other? Is there a socially accepted line that one must never cross lest ye be deemed the spreader of hateful content? Or do we absolutely accept that everyone must have the fundamental right to say anything, even at the risk of offending somebody, somewhere, with something? Gonna need some ibuprofen for this one. Coming up on a big rip. Hey humans, Ali here from the Big Rip. Hope you're all having a fabulous day whatever you're doing. It's a beautiful day outside, so I'll try and make this a quick one and maybe I'll get out and work on my ginger tan. Yes, some of us do tan. So here's a Monday musing for you. Hate speech. What is hate speech? Is it simply overly offensive free speech? Is it something entirely different? Something darker, sinister even? Well, on one hand there's those that would argue that it's an embarrassing but consequential byproduct of having the right to say whatever you like. If it leaves somebody offended, hurt, traumatised, then sorry, but deal with it. But on the other hand, there's those who would argue that it's a linguistic problem child and needs to be evicted from all forms of dialogue whenever and wherever it reveals its ugliness. That would also be those who would argue that bad words can be brutal weapons and have no place in civil discussion and can leave crushing long-term blows to whoever's on the receiving end of them. So who's right? Does complete freedom of expression mean that we'll inevitably have to tolerate some hate speech every now and again? Or do certain words belong in a big bin of bad boo-boos, regardless of context, along with everything else that's harmful and offensive, putrid? If there was only something we could compare it to. Oh, wait, there is. And it really is very simple. Let's look at the law. In this country, you're free to do whatever you like, as long as it's not illegal, and that's fine. The law has a set of checks and balances that, for the most part, keeps everything and everybody within socially accepted boundaries, social norms, and that is also fine. If you step outside those boundaries, i.e. if you break the law, you're punished. But it's those socially accepted boundaries that afford us the freedom to enjoy life as we know it, and the freedom to choose how we want to spend it, in a society that accepts it in relative harmony. And, again, for the most part, keeps everything and everybody pretty content. I would imagine the same goes for free speech. Just like the law, however, it's only free to a point within a socially accepted boundary. But what happens when that boundary is different for everybody? One person's legitimate conversation may well be another person's reason for a safe space. So where do we go from there? Well, I came across this meme earlier today and off the bat I agreed with it. And of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Hate speech is absolutely most certainly not free speech, at least to my mind. I think any rational person would recognise the very clear and obvious differences between the two. At least, you would think. But here's where I started to take issue with it. Although I agree in whole with the meme itself, the person who posted it did it from the standpoint, or the viewpoint even, that he was wholly entitled and utterly justified, at least in his own mind, in using the term so broadly that he was comfortable using it to cancel just about anything and everything he deemed even remotely offensive, including legitimate dialogue. This laddie was willing and content to take a proverbial branding iron and sear the words hate speech to the head of absolutely anything his little cotton balls for ears just didn't like hearing. I was going to respond, but judging by the content of the thread by the time I got there, I decided not. I moved on. But here's where it gets me. What is hate speech? Is 2023, is it now just a conversation killing buzzword used to cancel awkward words or shut down perhaps uncomfortable but reasonable discussion that you just don't enjoy hearing? Is there a socially accepted definition of what it actually is? Or, more importantly, what it isn't? These days, hard to tell. Well, it turns out that due to differences in human perception, some people just have thicker skins than others. One person's hate speech is, in fact, another person's legitimate talking point. From mild-mannered topics that may cause offence to somebody somewhere, to perhaps somebody arguing that transgender women now have more rights than biological women do. Now, do transgender women have more rights than biological women? I truly don't know. But I was reading an article earlier and it kind of just seemed like a valid example here and now. A topic for another video. But here's why we really need to universally define what hate speech actually is, so we can't talk about sensitive issues without being questioned in the motives, or, worse still, altogether cancelled. So here's my take on it, and I wrote this down so I didn't forget. 1. Hate speech is where you verbally attack a person or group of people based on their race, sexuality, identity, religious beliefs, or any other aspect of their being with a purpose or intent to cause or incite emotional, mental, physical, or any other type of actual harm to the recipient of that attack with clear and obvious malice. 2. Well, there isn't a 2. I thought 1 pretty much covered it. Everything else, to me at least, as long as it's not to victimise, harm, or harass in any way, then it's just normal, albeit sometimes uncomfortable discussion. I'm finding it hard to see it any other way. I'll tell you what it isn't though. Hate speech is not discussing whether a biological woman is transphobic because she legitimately feels uncomfortable competing against trans women in women's sports. That does not make anybody a transphobe. It is not discussing whether illegal immigrants should be allowed to cross borders and enter a country freely without at least a basic background check. That does not make anybody a racist. That is a legitimate security concern. And it certainly isn't discussing whether it is acceptable or appropriate to sensationalise a plus-size body type without also addressing the health issues attributed to it. That is in absolutely no way body shaming. Now, is it okay to be big? Well, if you're big and you're comfortable in your own skin, then yeah, sure, why not? And more power to you. But you should know that it does come with some serious health risks. Diabetes, higher risk of various cancers, lung problems, heart problems, liver problems, and the list does go on. So, yeah, maybe a tad irresponsible to sensationalise that. So yeah, there's things that we should absolutely be comfortable voicing, but apparently we're not allowed to, or at the very least it's frowned upon. And that's where we are today. It's absolutely not acceptable to cancel or hamper the right of any one individual or group of people even who express genuine concerns about things that bother them, with accusations of bigotry or hate where really none exists. Even on sensitive issues that you might not agree with, but if you can't muster a valid, coherent argument against, that in no way justifies you or anyone else from being utterly cancelled. That can't be how the world works, and you always reserve the right to walk away. And if you do disagree with something you're hearing, join the conversation. Rather than throw conversation killing buzzwords at genuine discourse, express your views. You may very well be correct in what you're saying, and that will be your opportunity to change somebody else's viewpoint and for the better. Or you might have to accept the very real possibility that sometimes you're actually wrong. I have been wrong on occasion, and that really is okay. I'm not so entrenched in my own worldview that I'm incapable of changing my mind or being swayed by a better argument, and I don't think anybody else should be either. So yeah, there's times that I've been corrected, and I'm absolutely open to that. Every day is a school day. But if we don't talk about things openly, how do we ever solve anything? And nobody should be trying to win a debate either. Rather than chasing a one-upsmanship award, is it not far more constructive for opposing views to eke out some type of mutually accepted middle ground to build a space that everybody can be comfortable sharing? Of course it is, but we can't do that under this cloak of perpetual fear that, depending on what's being said, somebody might cry. In fact, that's what leads to this cancel culture thing that now we're all subjected to, and that is most certainly not the answer. It can't be the answer. It can't be allowed to be the answer. In fact, cancel culture stokes the very resentment, the anger, the division that we're supposed to be stamping out with inclusion and tolerance. But some people have locked themselves into this agree with me or you're a bigot mindset, which is neither constructive nor meaningful, but apparently it's not supposed to be. It's tantrum based and designed to get much the same type of reaction as you would expect from an angry, spoiled toddler. Free speech is free speech. Hate speech is hate speech. They're as different from each other as fresh spring water is from raw sewage, and we need to recognise that. As far as I'm concerned, free speech may cause offence, and I would just say, well, be offended. Nothing happens, and you'll get over it. But hate speech, that has the absolute power to devastate and is constructed intentionally to harm, to vilify, to victimise, to alienate. And in some cases, it's a rallying call to violence. You would really need to be struggling with even the most basic comprehension of the spoken word not to see the polar differences between the two. But until we actually define what hate speech truly is, dangerous, victimising, derogatory, threatening, violent, then there's always going to be a very vocal fringe group only too comfortable blurring the lines between the two for the sole purpose of hampering legitimate, responsible adult conversation. Language and communication is the greatest asset that we'll ever possess in the building of new constructive ideas. The world we know was quite literally moulded by opposing forces come together, so we could have a tomorrow to build on. This very new, very modern idea, particularly from the far left and backed up by a liberal media, I may add, we're right, you're wrong, nah, we don't have to talk to you, is in itself dangerous. They will, however, the far left, not lefties in general, or trad libs, but the far left, hamper any effort you make to hold legitimate debate by calling you names through general disruption, and above all, they'll do whatever they can to make sure you remain unheard. Always. And of course, all under the guise of hate speech, where, again, none may exist. I'm thinking social shadow bans here. Yes, they're a thing. And this whole everything is hate speech only became a thing when we realised that we're constantly seeking out new ways to divide ourselves, and somebody decided they liked it that way. It suited an agenda. Enter identity politics. So it was amplified and it became a powerful weapon against words. And it has to end. In the past 10 years, something has happened to us, to society, to Western culture. We're also suddenly offended by everything to the point where people have been arrested for expressing a particular point of view. I mean, is that really a healthy place to be? I would say no. No matter how trivial the fight, no matter how subtle the battle, there is no profit in war. Except, of course, for those who orchestrate it. The puppet masters. They say shit flows downwards, and it's true. And of course I'm talking about our beloved politicians. As long as we're all segregated neatly into our own little boxes, arguing over bad words and political trivialities, these people can move with impunity and without consequence, backed up by a narrative-driven media and enforced by social network algorithms. It is true. While Chinese children are learning quantum mechanics, our children are learning how to twerk. Well, Korean children are learning advanced mathematics. Our children are learning gender identity, while Eastern European children are learning high-level business and economics. Our children are learning woke mind rot that we in the West are not allowed to be critical of, either as an individual or even as a parent. It's actual cultural decay, happening in slow motion while we watch. So why don't we just stop exhausting ourselves with this palavery? And I wholeheartedly welcome the fact that we're now in a position where we have stamped down hard on actual hate speech, but we do need a very prominent, very clear cut-off point so we are free to express genuine concerns or views without fear or repercussions. Is there hope? Or are we just too far gone to rein it back in? Yeah, well, I'm a great believer in if something can be done, then it can be undone. So here's an idea. Let's stop politicians fighting on a platform of toxic identity politics. Let them be subject to the same legal requirements and responsibilities as the rest of us. Stop sensationalising criminals. Regulate social media. Just ban TikTok completely. Stop blaming the poorest for the insatiable gluttony of the rich. The MSM, well, they're supposed to report the truth, not a narrative. So let's actually criminalise selective editing, disinformation and misleadery. Let there be consequences for all who engage in it. I also believe that the only thing more dangerous than hate speech is political correctness. So let's keep this PC agenda out of schools and get back to teaching our children things that will work for them. How to read, write, count, and become a generation of happy, tolerant, well-educated, fully functioning young individuals. There is nothing more important to the future than the young people of today. They're now exposed to so much so early in life that, as tragic as this is, it's no real surprise that we've seen such an alarming spike in mental health issues among a whole generation of confused, frustrated young people. And what are we supposed to do here? Just give up on them? No, there is work to be done, but it has to start now, and that requires the unhindered ability to discuss things openly and honestly. It all begins by simply talking to each other with clear and rational voices, to be able to say what absolutely needs to be said without fear of backlash or cancellation. We need to find a way to meet in the middle, to find some common ground. Then, collectively, we can start celebrating each other's differences rather than being offended by them, divided by them, segregated by them. If you respect my boundaries, I'll respect your choices, and I'll be happier knowing that you're comfortable and free being all that you are, being exactly who you want to be, on a path that you chose for yourself. Because if we don't, what's the alternative? We'll get to the point where nobody can say anything about anything without the risk of that one person 1,000 getting offended and making an emotional mess over it. I mean, me personally, I'm ecstatically happy for you to be comfortable in your own skin. And so you should be. You're unique, valuable, you're important. So important, in fact, that countless stars had to die so you could exist. But your time here is short, so enjoy yourself. Enjoy everybody else enjoying themselves. You're black, I'm white. You're gay, I'm straight. You're a woman, I'm a guy. You like death metal, I like 90s indie. Awesome, let's celebrate that and get back to the natural flow of things. Embrace things that uplift you. Dismiss things that pull you under. It's not hard. The truth is, some things you hear in life will offend you, other things will uplift you, neither robs you of anything. So, for the love of God, humble yourself, understand that you're entitled to nothing in this life other than to live in peace and safety. Everything else has to be earned, including respect, and that takes work and mutual understanding. So what do you guys think? Is hate speech as much an integral part of free speech as tooth decay is of a steady diet of full-fat cola and jammy Dodgers? Or is free speech simply legitimate discourse that remains fundamentally respectful but does run the risk of unintentionally offending somebody somewhere, in the genuine hope that by being able to converse openly and without hindrance, the world might just be a little bit better tomorrow than it is today? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, and next video we'll review the comments and see what you guys say. So, all the best and stay... Oh, no, wait. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit all the bells and all that good stuff. And if you don't, I'll find out where you live. I'll send you Chinese food once a week. So, all the best and stay safe, guys. Till next time, the big rip.